If there's one thing we've learned about business and life, it's that people are the X factor. They constantly surprise us, both in amazing ways and not so much. We're Ben and Syya, and welcome to the Gnaw on This Business Bites podcast. This show is all about real life things we all deal with every day, how they relate to business, and how to make some sense out of our daily chaos. Welcome to the show. And welcome back to another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bites. I'm Ben, this is Syya, and here's a question for you. What are the goals you're aspiring for? You know, we all sit there and say, I would love to have $1 million. I would love to have a Ferrari. I want to have the house with the pool and the 2.5 kids and all of those wonderful things. That's nice. How are you going to get there? We aspire to all these marvelous, wonderful things, but guess what? Unless we have an actual way to get from where we are to where do we want to be, those are dreams. Those are not goals, those are dreams. And we need to sit there and say, all right, in 5 years, in 10 years, I want to be here. The greatest story I ever heard actually was from Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey wrote himself a check for $10 million and put it in his wallet. And I think it was, and somebody's going to have to fact check me on this, but when he finally got paid for Dumb and Dumber, he was able to cash that check.
Yeah.
And he actually sat there and he put it on a wall somewhere. And it was being able to visualize sitting there going, I've got a plan. I'm not just doing this. I've got a plan. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to build my craft. I'm going to build my relationship. I'm going to build the trust. I'm going to build, my reputation. So at one point in time, I'm going to actually be worth $10 million, for an actual movie. He's actually been paid a lot more than that in the time since. But we need to sit there and say, okay, not only do I have a dream, not only do I aspire to do something, but I've got a goal and a plan to get there. And I want to talk about that, Syya. So Syya, let's gnaw on this.
Man, we have aspirations for everything in life, man. When I was a kid, Mary Lou Retton was a thing. Boy, I done dated myself. But Mary Lou Retton, I mean, she won the, gymnastics 1984 Olympics, and it was in LA, I believe. And I wanted to be a gymnast. And so then I started doing gymnastics, and I aspired, and I was all about it, except for the fact that I realized it's a fracking lot of work. Ben, it's a lot of work to aspire for something. It is so much discipline. You just made me drool thinking about how much work it requires and like that. Oh my God, that energy it takes. But you're right. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of planning that needs to come into place. There's a lot of self evaluation that has to come into play to aspire to those types of levels. I think it's interesting that for Jim Carrey, let's use him as an example. To me, I would almost say, like, maybe that tells me about my more conservative thoughts on things, which is I'm a big fan for my brain of, yes, you need that one big grandiose, like that $10 million check, but
that BHAG, that big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yes, the BHAG. But I'm also a big fan of a little bit, aspire to little things as well, because if I don't get to my BHAG, I've never heard that term before. BHAG. You're a BHAG. Are you a BHAG? Do you have a BHAG?
I do. I have a BHAG.
Everyone in the comments? Everyone in the comments, do you have a BHAG? Are you a BHAG? Wait, no, don't say that. No. Do you have a BHAG? Not are you a BHAG?
Do you have a BHAG? Yes.
well, unless of course, your goal is to Anyway, so I was going to say get married or whatever, but obviously I don't believe on that. But anyway, but I do believe, yes, having that big BHAG is great, but you have to also appreciate that aspiration is going to be a product of all these little ones, little successes, little things that you can tip your hat to say, you know what? I am chipping away. I'm going to get that BHAG. BHAG or not to
Well,
BHAG? That is the question, man. I'm going to title
that is
that
the
now.
question, but you're absolutely right. I mean, there are steps along the way. I have clients that sit there and go, "I want to be a $500,000 company." They're a $20 million company today, and they want to be a $500,000 company. I said, "Fine, we're going to build you 5 different brands along the way. You're going to be a $20 million brand, then we're going to make you a $50 million brand, then we're going to make you a $100 million brand, then we're going to make you a $250 million brand, and then we'll make you a $500 million brand." You don't get there overnight. Most cars don't go from 1 to 1,000. There is steps along the way that you have to take. You have to sit there and say, "Hey, listen, I was able to do this. I was able to build the processes, the people, the processes, and the procedures in order to get me from A to B.
Yeah.
Great, I got there. Okay, now what's next? Okay, we got there. Okay, now what's next?" We don't go from 0 to 100 in one step. We have to have those small goals along the way, not only to prove to ourselves that we can do it, but to prove to others, and also to have those points of celebration.
Yeah.
Because those points of celebration along the way give us the impetus to strive just a little bit further the next time.
You just reminded me of something. In my corporate life, my boyfriend and I were extraordinarily focused on living within our means, and our BHAG was just pay off the house. We wanted to be completely debt free. We wanted an existence where we're pretty basic people in general, except for the fact I really love food. But outside of that, we're pretty mellow people in general. And once we achieved it, I just realized, you just made me think, my BHAG wasn't as BHAGgy as I thought it was. And now, is that not a sobering thing? Because once we achieved it, we're like, okay, now we're debt free. Like, what do we do with ourselves? And I'm not going to lie to you. Maybe the question is also, once you do hit your BHAG, how do you overcome it? Because I think there's a mourning process that has to go through. Because I went through a bit of I don't want to say depression, but I was like lost. Like I didn't know what else my BHAG would be. So you're reminding me of maybe I didn't BHAG enough, and sometimes paying off your house is not a small feat, people. So, you know, I don't know, man. Like, have you have you hit a BHAG?
It's creating goals that scare you. It's creating a goal that scares you. I mean, I remember getting into the house. I remember when we bought this house, and we bought this house 22 years ago. Walking around the house all night long, going, "How am I ever going to pay this off?
Mm.
How am I ever going to be able to afford this mortgage on a monthly basis? How am I ever going to do it?" And we did. Within, what was it, something like 15 or 17 years, we had paid off the house.
That's awesome. Hey.
And what it enabled us to do was to sit there and say, "Okay, now that we've done this, what's next?" And it's reaching for that next set of goals. And there's nothing wrong with reaching that goal and sit there going, "That was cool. We deserve a holiday. We deserve a party. We deserve whatever to be able to celebrate. Hey, listen, we did it. We achieved what we were trying to achieve. Okay, now what's next?"
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with, what? There's some goals you may never reach. There's some goals that are so high out there that if you reach for the stars and you only touch the moon, that's not so bad. That's not so bad at all. But when we have those stretch goals, those things that you sit there going, "Don't know how I'm going to get there, but let's figure it out. What are the things I need to do? Who are the people I need to align myself with? What are the things I need to learn along the way? What are the minor steps that I need to do along that way in order to get there, in order to build the skills to be able to do what I want to do?" That's a big deal. Like when I wrote my first book, okay, you wrote a chapter a day. I wrote a chapter a day.
That's
And
impressive,
then a
dude.
chapter turned into 3 chapters. Chapter turned into 5 chapters. And I got to a point where I got on a roll.
Yeah.
And I ended up writing an entire book in less than 45 days.
Yeah, that's insane. That's awesome.
Which was just nuts. It was absolutely nuts. But you get to a point where all of a sudden you've learned little hacks along the way, or little ideas along the way, that enable you to accelerate your goals and push you towards your path of success a lot faster. But we don't do that unless we take that first step. And that taking that first step is terrifying.
It is, but I don't know. Just do it, people. I don't know. Because we've done it. That's why I'm kind of like, I don't know. Just do it. I don't see any downside of taking that step. And we run into so many people on LinkedIn who have like self-doubt, and I can't. And it's so funny. You see these accomplished executives who, if you just were to judge them based on their titles and their resume on LinkedIn, you would think they had it all together. Then you have a private conversation with them, and the truth bombs come out, and you're just like, oh, truth nuggets, don't want to use a B word. Truth nuggets come out, and it's like, wow, like, how did you function in this level of success? That's theoretical, success that everyone views, and you still are a bit of a, what show, and it's crazy because of fear. And it's in your head. It's all in your head, peeps. It's all in your head.
But it's all about adapting, resilience, and creativity.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to throw ourselves into a mess. Somewhere along the way, we're going to run into something on our way to our goal that we did not expect, that we did not assume was going to happen, that we're not prepared for.
True.
It's going to happen. The people that succeed are those who are creative, resilient, and adaptive. The people that can sit there and say, okay, that didn't work. Let's try going left. No, that didn't work. Let's go right. Okay, that didn't work. Oh, we can go over. Okay, over worked. All right, let's keep going. And that's where we need to be. We need to be those people that are sitting there going, this plan didn't work. Okay, that plan didn't work. That doesn't mean we're not going to reach our goal. It just means we need to go find another way of doing that. And that might mean taking 3 steps back. It might mean treading water for a bit. That's not failure. What failure is when you give up, you throw up your hands, and you walk away. That's the only time you're going to fail. And only if you don't learn from that position. If you learn from that and you take those lessons learned and you go achieve the next goal, then you haven't truly failed. But if we take the time and we sit there going, you know what? Sometimes we need to go backwards in order to go forward. Sometimes we need to slow down to speed up.
Thank you for saying that. I literally said that like 15 times in the last 3 weeks to certain individuals. I'm like, slow down to speed up. We're in 2024, folks. And before you know it, we're going to be at the end of 2024. But at the same time, don't be running in going like, you know what it is? Those BHAGs that we're talking about. Sometimes people diminish the value of a BHAG. God, I'm so in love with this term. With like New Year's resolutions. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Like, do not confuse the two, right? Because I feel like sometimes BHAGs become resolutions when it's not meant to be for that purpose. Right.
Well, it says it's back to a dream. You want to lose 20 pounds, but are you willing to do the work that it takes and sacrifice what it takes to lose that 20 pounds? And for most people, the answer is no. Most people, the answer is absolutely not. That they buy their gym membership, they go 3 times, they get depressed, and they go back and they eat a whole thing of Twinkies.
I have a bag of chocolate right in front of me on my desk. I am not going to be losing any type of weight anytime soon right now.
But we have to realize that is unless we have to know ourselves. We have to know ourselves as what's really important to us and what are we willing to sacrifice in order to get to where we want to be. And if we're not willing to go through the hard times in order to get to the success, then we're never going to succeed. Because there is no hack, there is no easy button, there is no Ozempic that's going to lose us 50 pounds without some cost to it. The question is we don't know what the cost is in the long term and the ramifications. But trust me, as they say, it says every piece of magic has an opportunity and has a cost attached to it. So we have the opportunity, but we also have the cost, and we need to be able to look at that when we're looking at our goals, when we're looking at what we're to achieve. What are we willing to sacrifice? What are we willing to do without in order to get what we really truly need? Or is it just a want that we go, geez, it'd be really nice if I lost 20 pounds. That's nice. You're now 30 pounds heavier than you were before you said that.
Don't get me started, but yes, that's me. Thank you. I'm working on it, people. It's a progress. Work in progress.
Let's leave it there. Everybody put it in there. I want to hear what your BHAGs are.
We want to be.
I want to hear how you're going to get there. No more than what your BHAG is. I want to know what help do you need to get there? What do you need to learn? What do you need to do to get there? And what do you need to give up in order to be successful? So let's leave it there. I'm Ben.
And I'm Syya.
And we'll see you soon.
Hey. Thanks for listening to another episode of Not On This, Business Bites. If you liked what you heard, we most humbly ask that you like, share, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to communicate more effectively within your organization, contact Ben at yourbrandmarketing.com or me at brilliantbeammedia.com. We can help you build your community, brand awareness, and personality through digital content and podcasting. We cannot wait to hear from you. So see you next week for another episode of Not On This, Business Bites.